They say records are made to be broken, but when a 5-year-old boy in Norway set an unofficial European record in the standing long jump with a leap of 1.63 meters, nobody could have imagined that this same kid would one day rewrite the entire history of football goal scoring. This is the story of Erling Braut Haaland. Born on July 21, 2000 in Leeds, England, while his father, Erling Haaland, was playing for Leeds United in the Premier League. But Erling's connection to England was brief. When he was just 3 years old, his father suffered a career-ending injury, and the family returned to their hometown of Bryne, Norway, a quiet town of just 12,000 people, 300 miles southwest of Oslo. Football was in his blood, but his father made sure young Erling tried everything. By age 14, he had played handball, golf, cross-country skiing, and track and field. Coaches told him he could make a career in handball. His mother, Marita Braut, was a national champion heptathlete in the 1990s. His grandfather was a well-known athlete. This was a family of champions. But it was football that captured Erling's heart. At just 5 years old, Erling walked into Bryne FK's youth academy and introduced himself. His coach, Alf Ingva Berntsson, remembers him clearly. Hard-working, always smiling, always scoring. He played a year ahead of his age group. Between the ages of 6 and 16, he was already living in the future. Unlike elite academies that cut weaker players, Bryne kept 40 players of mixed ability in each age group. They weren't drilling for resources, they were nurturing talent, and Erling thrived in that environment. At 15 years old, just 3 months before his 16th birthday, Bryne gave him his first team debut. By the time the 2016 season, he had made 16 appearances. But Bryne was too small for what was coming. In 2017, at 17 years old, Haaland moved to Molde, a club in Norway's top flight, where he would be coached by a man who knew something about being a lethal striker, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. At Molde, Haaland scored 20 goals in 50 appearances, but the world was starting to notice. In May 2019, the FIFA U20 World Cup arrived, and Haaland announced himself in the most extraordinary way imaginable. In a group stage match against Honduras, he scored 9 goals. 9 goals in a single game. It remains the record for the most goals scored by any player in a single game in World Cup history at any level. He finished the tournament as top scorer with the Golden Boot. Just months later, in January 2019, Red Bull Salzburg came calling. By the time he arrived, Austrian football had never seen anything like him. In his first full season, 2019-2020, he scored 28 goals in just 22 games. He also became the second highest scorer in the Champions League by Christmas with 9 goals, trailing only Robert Lewandowski. In his debut Champions League match against Genk, he scored a first-half hat-trick, the first and only player to ever do so on debut. In his first 5 Champions League games, he scored 8 goals. Nobody had ever done that before. Clubs across Europe were knocking on Salzburg's door: Manchester United, Juventus, Real Madrid. But in December 2019, Borussia Dortmund made their move. They paid around 20 million euros and brought him to Germany in January 2020. His impact was instant. In his debut against Augsburg, he came off the bench and scored a hat-trick in just 23 minutes. 3 days later, another 2 goals. In his first 8 Bundesliga games, he scored 12 goals. Dortmund wanted a center forward who played differently, and Haaland was exactly that player. He finished his first half season at Dortmund with 13 goals in 15 games. The following season, 2020-2021, he scored 41 goals in 41 matches across all competitions. He won the DFB Pokal, Germany's cup competition, scoring twice in the final.
He was named the Golden Boy Award winner, given to the best young player in Europe.
By the 2021-2022 season, Haaland's release clause was activated. Manchester City paid £51 million, an absolute bargain for what was about to unfold. On July 13, 2022, Erling Haaland officially became a Manchester City player, and the Premier League would never be the same again. In his debut season, 2022-2023, Haaland didn't just break records, he obliterated them. He scored on his Premier League debut against West Ham, a brace. Within his first 8 games, he had scored 12 goals. He scored 10 goals in just 6 Premier League matches, the fastest to that milestone in history. He scored 20 goals in 14 games, shattering Kevin Phillips' record by 7 matches. He became the fastest player to reach 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35 goals in Premier League history. He scored hat-tricks in 3 consecutive home games at the Etihad against Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, and Manchester United. Nobody had ever done that. In the Manchester derby, he scored 3 goals and provided 2 assists, 5 goal contributions in a single derby, another first. He scored 9 hat-tricks in all competitions that season. By March 14, 2023, in the Champions League round of 16 second leg against RB Leipzig, Haaland scored 5 goals in a single match, becoming only the 3rd player ever to do so in Champions League history, alongside Lionel Messi and Luis Adriano. He was substituted in the 63rd minute. With those 5 goals, he broke Tommy Johnson's 94-year-old club record for most goals in a single season for Manchester City, set in 1928-1929. By the end of that season, Haaland had scored 52 goals in 53 games for Manchester City, 36 in the Premier League, breaking the previous record of 34 set by Alan Shearer and Andy Cole, 12 in the Champions League, winning the Golden Boot, 3 in the FA Cup, 1 in the Carabao Cup. It was the most goals ever scored by a Premier League player in a single season across all competitions, surpassing Mohamed Salah and Ruud van Nistelrooy, who both had 44. And then came June 10, 2023, Istanbul, the Champions League final. Manchester City versus Inter Milan. Rodri scored the only goal of the match, but Haaland's presence was immense. City won 1-0. Manchester City completed the treble, only the 2nd English club to win the Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League in the same season. Haaland had achieved in one season what most players never achieve in their entire careers. He was named UEFA Men's Player of the Year. He won the European Golden Shoe. He won the Premier League Player of the Season and Young Player of the Season awards, the first player ever to win both in the same year. Pep Guardiola won Manager of the Year. 6 Manchester City players made the Champions League Team of the Season. The 2023-2024 season saw Haaland continue his dominance. He scored 27 goals in the Premier League and won his 2nd consecutive Golden Boot. City won the Premier League title again. In the 2024-25 season, he scored 22 Premier League goals. On March 15, 2025, he became the fastest player to reach 100 goal contributions in Premier League history, doing so in just 94 matches.
Then, on January 17, 2025, Manchester City announced something extraordinary. Erling Haaland signed a new contract until 2034, the longest contract in Premier League history. He was also named a team captain. At just 24 years old, he had committed the next decade of his career to Manchester City. But Haaland's story isn't just about club football. On September 5, 2019, he made his debut for Norway's senior national team in a Euro 2020 qualifier against Malta. He was 18 years old. Almost a year later, on September 4, 2020, he scored his first international goal against Austria.
By October 11, 2020, he scored his first international hat trick in a 4-0 victory over Romania in the Nations League. On October 10, 2024, in a UEFA Nations League match against Slovenia, Haaland scored twice. Those two goals, numbers 33 and 34, made him Norway's all-time leading scorer, breaking a record that had stood for 90 years. Jørgen Juve had scored 33 goals for Norway between 1929 and 1937. Haaland broke that record in just 36 international appearances. He was wearing the captain's armband for the first time. He was 24 years old. After the match, he revealed that his partner was expecting their first child. It was a night he will never forget. As of now, Haaland has scored 55 goals in 48 international appearances for Norway. He has scored 6 international hat tricks. He led Norway to qualification for the 2026 World Cup, their first appearance since 1998. At club level, he has scored over 250 goals in just over 300 appearances. He is currently the second most valuable player in world football at €151.4 million. He scored 50 Champions League goals in just 49 appearances, the fastest player ever to reach that milestone. He reached 100 goals for Manchester City in just 105 matches, matching Cristiano Ronaldo's pace across Europe's top 5 leagues. But what makes Haaland truly special isn't just the numbers, it's the way he plays. His speed is terrifying. At 194 centimeters tall and with explosive straight-line pace, defenders cannot keep up with him. His positioning is flawless. He knows where the ball will be before it arrives. His finishing is ruthless. Left foot, right foot, headers, volleys, he scores them all. His work rate is relentless. He presses, he defends, he fights for every ball. Pep Guardiola has said that Haaland's ability to make off-ball runs is extraordinary. In the 2022-2023 Premier League season, Haaland made 349 off-ball runs into the penalty area, the most of any player, and completed 515 sprints, the most of any City player. His partnership with Kevin De Bruyne is telepathic. In that treble-winning season, De Bruyne provided 8 Premier League assists to Haaland, the most that one player assisted another. Yet, despite all his success at Manchester City, the football world continues to speculate about his future. Real Madrid have shown interest in Haaland for years, and reports suggest they view him as a potential target if certain conditions are met, though Manchester City are determined to keep him. However, recent reports indicate that Real Madrid are not actively pursuing Haaland right now, as they believe Kylian Mbappé, who joined them in 2024, covers their attacking needs. Mbappé has scored 73 goals in 83 appearances for Real Madrid. But with Haaland's contract running until 2034 and his happiness at Manchester City evident, any move seems unlikely in the near future. There are rumors of clauses in his contract that could come into play, but City are confident they will keep their superstar. Former Premier League striker Marlon Harewood said recently that the only clubs that could afford Haaland are Barcelona, Real Madrid, and PSG, but that City is a very good club, and he can see Haaland staying there and breaking every record. And that's what Erling Haaland is doing, breaking every record. At just 25 years old, he has already achieved more than most players achieve in their entire careers. He has won the Premier League 3 times, the FA Cup twice, the Champions League once, the UEFA Super Cup, the DFB Pokal in Germany, and the Austrian Bundesliga and Cup double with Salzburg. He has won 2 Premier League Golden Boots, 2 Champions League Golden Boots, and the European Golden Shoe. He was runner-up for the Ballon d'Or in 2023. From a small town in Norway to the biggest stages in world football, from a 5-year-old jumping 1.63 meters to a 25-year-old scoring over 300 career goals, From a boy following in his father's footsteps to a man creating his own legend. This is Erling Haaland, the goal machine, the record breaker, the phenomenon who scores goals like nobody else. And the terrifying part? He's just getting started. With 9 more years on his Manchester City contract, with the 2026 World Cup ahead with Norway, with Real Madrid potentially watching from the sidelines, with records still to be broken and trophies still to be won, Erling Haaland's story is far from over. In fact, it feels like it's only just beginning. The boy from Brine who jumped 1.63 meters at 5 years old is now leaping into football immortality, and the world can do nothing but watch in awe as he rewrites history, one goal at a time.